The Denver Nuggets are finally back in the win column. It feels so good to see a team that was struggling so early on in the season get back in the win column. This was a good win. They needed this, at least for their self-confidence, and they needed this moving forward because you always need to have those easy wins in case you do start having a slump again. But hopefully Mike Malone doesn't let that happen. And because you're now seeing all the players come back, you're going to see a healthy Denver Nuggets squad out there and going to be winning games for the rest of this season. Before we get in today's video, yo, what is up guys? It is your boy and I'm back here giving y'all another banger. And since I'm giving y'all another banger, if y'all could go ahead and drop a like on this video, it would be much appreciated. And please subscribe if you enjoy basketball content. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the Denver Nuggets, who looked great yesterday. Let's first off start off with Jamal Murray, who had 26 first half points. He was absolutely sensational. He didn't play in their last game against Sacramento, which they lost, and they ended up becoming 1-4. And for me, this was concerning because I was looking at this Denver Nuggets team, and yes, they didn't have Jamal Murray, but they're honestly better than this. I didn't think that they should be losing games like this, and they're definitely better than their 1-4 start that they had. But with players coming back, such as Jamal Green, they had Will Barton playing well, they had obviously Jamal Murray coming back, the team seemed to function really well, and I like what we're seeing out of this Denver Nuggets squad when they're all in the play. Now, Michael Porter Jr. didn't play, so that is kind of a blow for the Nuggets, but even despite this, they were even able to win, so that is great. But I like the roles that everyone is playing on this team. Jamal Murray came back and he was being that scoring offensive weapon that Jokic needs. Nikola Jokic was absolutely great. He had 19, 12, and 13, just a triple-double. It was absolutely phenomenal to see him play. I love watching Nikola Jokic play, and he's one of my favorite players in the entire NBA. I like how Will Barton was playing. I liked how he was catching threes. I like Fasu, who came in. He was hitting his shots too. You can kind of see that Monte Morris was struggling a little bit, especially from the corner this year. He just seems like he just can't hit any corner threes right now, but I don't believe that's going to continue. So I believe that once Monte Morris finds his sort of stride, he's going to go back into the Monte Morris that we saw in the bubble. And of course, I want to talk about Jamal Green, who was great. I love what Jamal brought to the team in terms of defensive value and even offensive value. Jamal Green is one of those players who just goes out and grinds. He can get second chance points. He can catch lobs. He can, take it to the paint. He can even spread the floor, hit threes. I love what Jamal Green brings to the team, and it's exactly what they needed considering that they lost Jeremy Grant. Now, it wasn't all great, even despite the fact that Jamal Murray was going off. It was still somewhat of a close game going into halftime, and even going into the third quarter, I think they were losing by 1, and I started having my doubts. I was like, oh no, please do not allow this team to go 1-5. That would just be absolutely horrendous, and people would actually start looking at, people like Mike Malone, who shouldn't get slander for things like this because it just seems like they were in a slump for a little bit. But in that fourth quarter, you saw a great defensive scheme from Mike Malone. They really cracked down on defense. They were switching. They were playing really good defense. And on the offensive end, Nikola Jokic took over in that fourth quarter. He was getting assists. He was dishing out. He knew when to be aggressive, and he was hitting his patented mid-range shot that was just flat out unstoppable. They couldn't do anything about it. And other key players like Fasu and other, players were hitting shots that they needed to hit in crunch time. And they ended up winning by the game, I think by 15, or at least it was around 20 at one point when they took out Nikola Jokic and they just let him rest because the game was out of line. So when the Nuggets had all their players back, such as Jamal Murray, and even the players like Michael Porter Jr. who didn't play, when they come back, it's going to be very interesting to see how this team plays because I believe that they have a lot of offensive potential when all three of their key players, Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. are all playing. Now, honestly, I do believe that a big part of the reason why they were so successful in that fourth quarter was because of their defense. And not to hate too much on Michael Porter Jr., but he cannot defend at all. He is not a defender. He tries to gamble way too much when it comes to steals and blocks. Like he'll just run after a defender and try to steal the ball, or he'll block a shot. Now, he is making strides defensively, so I'm not going to bash him too much. But I do believe that if Michael Porter Jr. were out there last night, they probably would have suffered a little bit defensively. So hopefully Michael Porter Jr. continues to make strides defensively so that they can become a better team overall. But in terms of offensive potential, it is through the roof when it comes to the Denver Nuggets team. I'm very excited for this team and I can't wait to see what they do. And at the end of the day, when Jamal Murray scoring 36 and Nikola Jokic just have a triple-double, it's just hard to beat this team flat out. It's going to be very hard to beat the Denver Nuggets when both of their two superstars are doing exactly what they need to do, and the role players are hitting their threes and their shots as well. It's just going to be very hard to beat this team. Gary Harris wasn't all that great either. He only shot 1 for 8 and only had 2 points, so hopefully he does get out of that type of slump and bounces back again against the Timberwolves in their next game with a better shooting performance. But even despite this, they were able to win pretty convincingly, so I don't have any worries when it comes to this Denver Nuggets team. Hopefully they just can continue to win and do what they need to do in order to win and play better defense, continue to make strides offensively, and they will find themselves back in the Western Conference Finals and a legitimate team to be threatened about in the playoffs. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much. If you listened this far, please drop a like on this video and please subscribe if you enjoy basketball content, and please check out my other videos and drop a comment on a video if you want me to talk about something, because I am slowly but surely running out of ideas. So if you guys have anything you want me to talk about, I am more than happy to talk about it. But without further ado, guys, that's all I have for you guys today, and I am out. Peace.